Good evening. Welcome to the Fireside News. This is our Friday evening broadcast.
Our first topic today is about the big cheese Mr. Simon Freud. Lollapalooza has discovered what human personalities are made of. He has come up with a new topic called psychoanalysis and how our unconsciousness works. There are these parts called the id, the ego, and the superego that make up our personalities. The id is the unconscious part of us that helps us survive. The ego helps that it makes its desires in a socially appropriate way, and the superego is what makes us strive for moral perfection. It's like our personality is an iceberg. We know what's shown, but whatever is on the water is a complete mystery.
Okay, seriously, that's crazy.
How is it crazy?
Really? Like, an iceberg? You're saying our mind is an iceberg right now?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, why not?
I don't believe this Sigmund Freud guy.
Cheesy?
I'm just saying. I mean, Mr. Big Cheese is not as crazy as I think he is.
Nah, Mr. Big Cheese. He's discovered who we are, how we behave. This is a new step into human science.
Alright.
Okay, well, now let's turn it over to John Parker.
Good evening. This is John Parker, and I'm here at an air show with Gladys Engel and the 13 Black Cats. The 13 Black Cats is notorious for being Hollywood's high-flying hellraisers. On top of that, Gladys is the only female member of this barnstorming group. Right now, they are getting ready to take off. On one side, we have one plane with pilot Goebel flying it alone. On the other side, we have another plane with Bon McDougal piloting the plane along with Gladys Engel, who is carrying a plane wheel. They say they are going to have her switch planes and change a wheel. Mid-air, flying at a high speed, at high altitude. Such a stunt is risky. We have already had several wing-walking related deaths, and now we have someone who plans on switching planes in mid-air with a weight attached at her back, all without a parachute or any kind of safety gear. Just imagine transferring planes while hanging on such a heavy wheel. Can she do it? The engines are roaring and they're beginning to leave the tarmac. And they're off! The two planes are climbing up and up and up while Grass remains in her seat. Now they are flying altitude and Gladys is starting to leave her seat. The heavy wheel is attached to her back as she walks out onto the wing. She is sidestepping across the wing while making use of the struts and wires on the plane. Alright, now she's at the very edge of the wing while Art Goebel is approaching with his plane. Gee, you just cannot have a fear of heights when it comes down to this. Gladys is maintaining her calm as if the high altitude from which she could fall does not bother her. The two planes are side by side, and she just grabbed onto the wire on Art's plane. She succeeded in transferring between the two planes. This is crazy. She is one fearless woman to do this without any safety gear. She is almost there at the site where she needs to replace the wheel. And she's at the site. Now, you see, she needs to be especially careful here because all we need is a slight shift in her balance and then she will be falling to her death. Worse, it's even more difficult to maintain her balance on a moving plane while changing a heavy wheel. She just took out the wheel that needs to be replaced, and it seems that that wheel was blown out and flat. It's very hard to maintain your balance and not fall when your hands are full with two wheels. She just placed the old wheel on her back and she is turning the new wheel in place. And now she is back on her way back to the wing where she will stand as the plane begins to land. She was very successful in her stunts so far, but you never know. One false move, and it is all over for her. If the wheel that she replaced was not placed on correctly. Gladys may have finished heavy work in her stunt, but it is not over until the plane actually touches the ground. They are descending. Only when they touch down on the ground will it be determined if the stunt was successful or not. Right now, the plane is only a few hundred feet away from the tarmac. Gladys is on the wing standing, and yes! Yes! They've done it! The plane touched down safely. Oh my god, how could this be? They actually completed this stunt safely without any casualty. Nothing like this has ever been done before. This was one insane barnstorming stunt. This is John Parker, over and out.
Alright, up next we have a very special guest. We have Mr. Sebastian Jones coming in. This man has become well known within his community for flagpole sitting. For those of you who don't know, flagpole sitting is when a live wire type fella climbs atop a pole and attempts to stay up there for as long as possible. This newfound craze was started by Alvin Kelly, the man with the goods. Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. How are you today?
I'm doing quite swell today.
So, what was your inspiration for deciding to attempt to sit atop a pole for 56 hours without sleep?
Well, I was feeling a little grummy that day and a tad bit grungy of all the attention that Mr. Kelly was getting for sitting for a meager 13 hours, and I knew that I would be able to beat his record.
Jeez, with how long you stood up there without sleep, one would think that you were bent on some hoot.
Well, I may have been a bit zazzled from the previous night. I have been told that I'm quite the owl.
I've heard you're a bit of a rummy, Mr. Jones.
Oh, you slay me.
How would you say that this pole sitting has changed your life?
Well, I'd say that my beating of my community's record has made me quite popular. After I decided I had an earful of not sleeping and staying atop that blasted pole, when it came down, the entire town came out and threw me a party. Although I was quite exhausted, it was great to dance to Charleston with all the dolls of the neighborhood.
And how, Mr. Jones? Well, I'll let you go. I'm sure you're a very busy man.
See you later.
And now, folks, we have great news for you. The 21st Amendment has just been passed by the Congress. No more sneaking out to the speakeasy. We can get as zazzled as we want, anywhere we want.
Not to mention, the tax revenue our government is going to get from this. I don't think the egg Mr. Roosevelt gave us all of our hooch back with kindness of his heart alone. I bet the Congress thinks this is a pretty nifty amendment, as well as since it will provide such much needed revenue.
Speaking of the new amendment, Uncle Bob's Student Parlor is back in business. Here's a word from Uncle Bob himself.
Hey, bimbos and dolls. My parlor is back in business and ready to give you the edge you're looking for. And to celebrate this reopening, only bring half your dough because we've got half off hooch. That's the bee's knees. So come see me, Uncle Bob. Buy yourself some giggle water and go on a toot and get fried. We won't judge. Well, we're now going to see a man about a dog. Thanks for tuning in to the Fireside News.